Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. Today we're working on what do you do with a cheater cloth or a piece of panel that's pretty much quilt blocks in itself. You may like it, you may not like it, you may try and figure out what can I do with it besides make some pillows or a table runner or something like that. I'm going to show you what I did with this. So I've already fiddled with 2 blocks, and I'm going to show you what I did. Now, it's your fabric. You can do what you like with it. That is completely up to you. I'm going to cut this baby up. So I went an inch past this lovely little blue border, little feather blue border here. Love the paisleys, love the colors. It's just not, it was gifted to me, and it's not mine. It's not my forte, as they say. Okay, so I am going to make it into something that will be unique and change, hopefully, the perspective of it. I'm just going to rough cut in the center here so I can flip it around. Okay. I'm taking my ruler, measuring an inch. Try and keep that line right on that little border line. Okay, once I got my inch all the way around, put that over there, okay. And we're happy with it. We're going to cut on the diagonal. Now make sure you got your biggest ruler that you have. And you kind of want to follow a bit of the pattern. If it's got a pattern like the one I got going on here, you want to kind of stick within the little bits that you can. Hopefully just try and maneuver with the fabric to get all the way from one edge to the other. You see what I did there? I moved halfway and then moved my ruler up to get me to all the way to the other side. Now I want to do the same over here. Lining it up. Trying to get the best I can to get all the way over to that point, but also trying to line up a little bit of the spots along the way, okay? I'm going to hold it, come about halfway, move my ruler up to the tip, and then move continuous, okay? Now, what I'm going to do here is also cut again, okay? Right in half, both ways. Try and get in the center. Try and find the center of those 2 tips right there. There. And here. All right, now we've chopped that up into like 8 little bits. So I'm going to take one of these and one of these, and I'm going to sew them together. And I'm going to take this one and sew it together. I'm going to take this one and sew it together. I'm going to take this one and sew it together. And then I'm going to square it up to 8 inches, okay? So let's do that. You can see where I'm going with this. It actually looks quite lovely. I've done 2 rows already. So let's do this. So it's like, what to do with a panel you're just not sure what to do with, really. So you got to mix it up. You gotta put a little zing and zip into it. You could also put sashing in between the blocks. You could make another complementary block to go with it, like a star or flower, or even like a little log cabin or something like that. There's many options. You can even just do squares, little bits of your own fabric stash to go with. Okay, let's sew all 4 of these, and then we'll press them, square them up, and we'll sew 3 in a row. And I'll show you what 9 look like together. And we're just going to keep that doing with the same with the rest of the blocks. Now you can turn this into a table runner, you can turn it into a lap quilt, like say you can put sashing in between, blocks in between, make it whatever you like. It's your fabric, and you've been holding on to it for a very long time, I know. You got to do something with it. So this is just one thing you can do. Now I believe this fabric was gifted to me from Miss Gwenny. I could be wrong, but I could be right. I could be wrong, but I could be right. nonetheless, she gifted it to me. It's for me to deal with, and this is the way I'm dealing with this one. And it was Pop who inspired. I was holding the fabric up, and he goes, "Why don't you just chop that up?" And I go, "What do you mean chop it up?" It's like, you know, chop it here and chop it there, and then sew it all back together. And I'm like, "That's a great idea. Thanks, Pop." He's so smart. Oops, hold on, come on, you. No, it really was a fantastic idea. So, hence why we're talking about it right now. Okay, cut, cut, and cut, and then press, press, press. Okay, so move those. Get this pressed right here. Press open. You probably get about 8.5 sometimes, depending on how you cut your fabric or the width of your fabric and stuff. You probably get it 8.5 out, but I was just doing it at 8 just to make a nice even number, because it looked like some ways it wasn't going to quite make the 8.5. So I thought, you know what, no stress, no fuss, just trim up to 8. And it puts a nice little different spin on it with the flower border cut, and then with the little squares cut, look like in half square triangles. Oh, looks so cool, actually. Very, very cool. All right, move that off, move that off. Now we're going to square up to 8 inches. So when you're squaring up, you want to put this line right here on this lovely little ruler, pretty much on your sew line diagonally. Most times you usually have that. And then you want to make sure that the 8 inches right here is fitting within the whole square of fabric, okay? So you want to make sure you have stuff to trim off the top to make nice and square. And then when you flip this corner down to here, you have more little trimmings to go off, okay? Move those out of the way, flip the block, line it up, stick it on the 8. On the 8 on both sides, horizontal and vertical. Hold firm and steady in the center of your squaring up ruler, and then bam. Okay, we're just going to do that 3 more times. See how it's really close there for the 8? Yeah, there's lots of times I wasn't going to get 8.5. Out, turn around. Line up on the 8 and the 8. Firm pressure. Fingers away from the blade. And clean up. Perfect. Next. Make it like a little assembly line. You know what you got to do, and you just got to get there. Okay. There's very little trimmage on the top there, but we've got a nice sharp corner. That's what matters. Stick it on the 8 and 8. Firm pressure. So you can put a weight on it sometimes. It can, you know, whatever helps you. Sometimes a lot of people don't have a lot of upper body strength, so it's hard for them to, or their hands don't give them the ability to spread them like a big old meat claw like I do. I got big hands. My mom always said I had piano fingers. Never knew what that meant until I had a piano. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it, because you get your fingers reaching all the old weird keys on the outside. All right, so now what we're going to do with these is we're going to add them to the 2 rows I have done already. And you can see how with a little flipping and flopping. Oh, there we go. There and there, and how you can turn that little star block here into something very different and unique. Very much so. So from one little square we made 4 squares, and now we're going to put them all together. And I think this will make a lovely little quilt in the end. Lovely lap quilt. Probably make it maybe 6 by whatever I can get out, actually. Probably make it a couple little bits longer. And we'll go from there. We'll figure it out. I just really wanted to show you what it was going to look like with a few rows. So hopefully that would encourage you to chop up a piece that you may have been sitting on for, you know, half a decade, decade and a half, you know. You tell me how old your stash is. I was very happy to share some of my stash this week. Actually, it was this morning. And it was lovely to drop off a nice big bag, and can't wait to see what she does with it. So, like, I don't need all this fabric, and I'm happy to share it, especially with the scrappy bits, especially when people like to do scrapping. All right, add that there. And it kind of gives a little bit of a pinwheel, a spiral effect. It really gives it a different look from its original little star and flower sort of block. And I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just wanted something else to do with it. I wanted something different to do with it. I didn't want just to make it up and that's it. So now we go from here, and we're going to pin at these seams. Okay, and it's like a little bit of the black border ends up trying to make it like a little bit of a spiral. And then with that blue border, it's adding and taking away. It's actually really kind of neat. All right, so let's put that there. And we're going to pin at those intersections. Okay, that is a short pin. I don't know where that pin came from. And then go right to the end too. So we keep a nice straight seam allowance going all the way from the beginning to the end. Right here. We're going to flip and flop those seams, making sure they're snug as a bug in a rug. And we want them lined up right on top of each other, which gives a nice, cute, and pretty good seam line, okay, between your blocks. Do a little back stitch, hold those stitches in place so they don't come undone. Take our pins out, holding it as it was sewing. And then we should have 3 lovely rows. I'll grab it here, for Pete's sakes. There we go. Is that lovely? And you'd almost never know it came from that block right there. Four blocks came from that block. So what a way to utilize a panel. Some people call these cheater pieces. I don't really like the word cheater, but you know, it's an easy piece. It's great for somebody to learn on, to be able to learn how to free motion quilt, to be able to come around and quilt on certain points if they really want to, and you know, and doing the little swirls with the paisley. I mean, it's all like matter of training, hand and eye coordination, right? So hopefully this inspires you to take on that project that's been hiding in the closet, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. So don't forget to join us on the weekend live stream at 1 p.m. Eastern Saturday, where we're going to continue the Hugs quilt behind us here that we started for our 12-hour. We will finish it up on Saturday, okay? So thank you, everybody, for watching, liking, and subscribing. We greatly appreciate it here, and we'll see you soon, okay? Big hugs to you. Bye, everybody.